Hello aspirants, welcome to IAS Icons by Unacademy. This is Shubham Sardhalia, and as promised, I am starting with NCERT discussion for the subject geography. I request all the aspirants to join me at the earliest so that we can start with our today's discussion. For the subject geography, I request all the aspirants to join me at the earliest so that we can start. So guys, I discussed in some previous classes that we will be starting with our NCERT discussion. NCERT becomes really important part of this entire UPSC preparation, and we need to understand that NCERT is something which we need to study, which we need to read thoroughly, so that tomorrow when questions are asked from those NCERTs, we are able to answer them well. So we are starting with our NCERT discussion. We already discussed about geography subject starting from NCERTs of class 6th. So we'll be discussing NCERTs from class 6 to 12th. We started our discussion for chapter 1 of geography NCERT. This class will be about the discussion for chapter 2. Before we proceed further, I just want to tell you all that if you are aiming to qualify the examination, which is the UPSC CSE, ultimately if you guys are here, you are here to qualify this examination. You are here so that you can study, you can understand the things, and if you want to understand those things in a proper manner, you need to start your preparation with us. That is India's largest learning platform. Sir, we at Unacademy give you widest choice of educators. You get the flexibility to change your course, you get unlimited views on lectures, you will be getting regular doubt solving sessions, we give you daily answer writing practice. So in short, all these things, they result into your selection. You can see on your screens, aspirants like you are the toppers today. You get the choice of best educators of the country only at Unacademy. With the help of these top educators, you will be starting your journey, you will be preparing well, and ultimately will be qualifying these examinations. Sir, my name is Shubham Sardhalia. I am your educator and mentor for this UPSC CSE preparation. I will be taking up various subjects with you like current affairs, history, science and technology, social issues, internal security, and apart from that, I will be discussing subject-wise NCERTs with you. A very grand offer for all those who are aiming to qualify this examination, who are planning to opt for the subscription. Sir, we are offering you 20% off on all our UPSC CSE subscriptions. Normally what you get is 10% discount, but for a limited period, for from 26th to 30th September, we are giving you 20% discount on all our courses. So in general, normally what you get is 10% discount, but with the help of this code IAS Icons, don't forget to use this code, sir. This IAS Icons code, this code will fetch you 20% off on all our subscriptions, and this offer is very limited from 26th to 30th September. Like in next 4 days, you can avail the opportunity to get this offer. We are starting with our next batches very soon, so enroll before these batches start. Get started with your preparation. You, if you are not able, if you are not willing to pay the entire amount at once, we at Unacademy offer you the liberty to purchase the course at 0% EMI. Sir, 0% EMI, this offers you, and this gives you an opportunity where you can purchase our course in monthly installments. You need not to pay the entire amount at once. You simply have to call on this number. Will provide you the all required assistance, and ultimately this entire subscription fee can be paid in monthly installments. So starting with our discussion, we are discussing this subject which is known as geography. Geography is related to this earth, and ultimately the NCERT for class 6th, which will be our first part of discussion. The NCERT for class 6th, if you have a look of the book from the front looks something like this. So the first name of the chapter, this entire book, is the Earth, Our Habitat. So if we go by the name, the entire discussion will be about the earth, our habitat, our surroundings at which we stay. If we have the look inside in the contents, this entire book is divided into 8 chapters. We have chapters like the earth in the solar system, we have already discussed. If you have joined me for the first time, I request you, on this very channel only you will find the playlist where you can go and study those lectures, you can watch those lectures, because we have discussed the first chapter there. Now today's chapter will be about this second chapter. Today's lecture will be about the second chapter, that is globe, latitudes and longitudes. So we'll be starting our discussion. Chapter 2, class 6th NCERT, globe, latitudes and longitudes. All those who have joined me, can you please just let me know what is a globe? Sir, globe is something you can see on your screen. So this is the pictorial representation, this is the image of a globe. But can you please tell me what is a globe? If you have ever seen, I'm sure that you must have seen the globe in your school, in your college, or somewhere else also. So globe is a equipment, is an object like this, on which you see the various land masses just the way we find them on the earth. So it is a miniature, it is the representation of this entire earth, the earth. So the earth on which we live, it is represented in a miniature form with the help of a globe, so that we can have the look of this earth. One thing you need to remember, you see this globe is tilted. It's not that globe is like this. Normally the globe should be like this, no? But you see the globes you will always see around you are tilted to one side, because that's the exact position. Our earth is not in a straight position, earth is inclined on an imaginary line which we call it as earth's axis. So you see on the screen there is one line that will connect this point to here. So on earth, this is an imaginary line, we call it as the axis of the earth. So the earth is inclined towards its axis. So this representation, the first time we came across this representation, maybe somewhere in your school or somewhere else. So if you start watching that globe, you will ultimately find various continents, you will ultimately find various countries, and apart from those continents and countries, on the globe you will find two set of lines. One set of lines goes like this, and there is another set of line which goes the other way around. Have you ever seen this thing? There are two types of lines. The one going from this direction, from upwards to downwards, we call them as what? Longitudes. And there is another set of lines, those move in horizontal direction. We have lines moving vertically from top to bottom, then we have from one side to the other. So these are known as latitudes. In short, the overall discussion, if we talk about what is a globe or what is the meaning of this chapter, so it's actually the representation of the earth as latitudes and longitudes. Are we getting things or not? I hope you're following why this chapter is named as globe, latitudes and longitudes. Sir, here the chapter is gonna talk about the model, the miniature representation of our earth. So the first thing, when it comes to miniature of the earth, we see something known as a globe. So globe has on its two sets of lines, one are our longitudes, one are the latitudes. So this entire chapter, in this entire chapter, we'll be discussing about these latitudes and longitudes only. So what is a globe, sir? Globe is a true model of the earth, a miniature, a model, a representation of earth is known as globe. A needle is fixed through a globe in a tilted manner, which is called as its axis. That's what we saw here. A tilted needle that passes from here to here, just because we wanted this globe to stand. So to fix it on the stand, a needle was passed from inside. So this is what is known as axis of the globe. This is axis of the globe. In this way, actually the earth is tilted towards one side, and that's why it is represented in a very similar fashion on the globe. Imaginary lines are running on the globe. I told you there are two sets of lines, and remember these lines are imaginary. Sir, if you go and see the earth, you won't find these lines on the earth. You cannot just go to the space and look for where is the latitude, where is the longitude. These are imaginary lines which we have drawn on this model of the earth so that we can understand certain things. So what happens here is, how we do it, we'll try to understand. On this earth, or on the model of the earth, there is one line which divides it into two halves. This is what is known as 0 degree, a imaginary line which we call as equator. It divides our earth into two equal halves. You must have heard about this term equator. So imaginary line on globe that divides it into two parts. This imaginary line is horizontal in direction. If this is our earth, horizontally it bisects the earth into two regions. One is northern hemisphere, other is southern hemisphere. And since it is going horizontally, all the lines that are going horizontally are known as what? They are known as latitudes. All parallel circles from the equator to the poles are called parallel latitudes. Latitude is measured in a degree. So what happens is, we'll understand it like this. This is our earth. Imagine it as our earth. To understand things about this earth, what we did, we drew an imaginary line at the center. So this imaginary line was not actually straight. This imaginary line itself was a circle, because our earth is round. It's a spherical in shape. So this spherical shape earth was spherically bisected into two halves, what we know as equator. So this was equator. It was bisecting. It's not that it is cutting down. We just tried to draw a line on the earth at the center, and this center was such that the entire portion of the earth was divided into two equal halves. And parallel to this line, which we call as equator, there are another lines which are going parallel. So parallel to this line at the center, we have another parallel lines, and these are known as the set of latitudes. Do you know how many latitudes are there? Any idea that how many latitudes we have around the earth? There is one latitude, we call it 0 degree, or we call it as equator. Can anybody tell me how many latitudes are there? If you know, you can drop your comment. How many latitudes are there? So we have total 180 latitudes. From 0 we have this 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, going on till end of the earth. On the northern side, you must be aware of these four directions. We have four directions: north, south, east and west. So equator bisects this earth, and it is divided into two parts. The area above the equator, where our country India, where Asian subcontinent, or Asia as a continent, where Europe as a continent are found, this region above the 0 degree is known as northern hemisphere, and area below this 0 degree, where we have a major portion of Africa, where we have Australia and other regions, this is known as southern hemisphere. Why? Because with the help of these four directions, we see that at the top end we have northern hemisphere, we at the bottom end we have southern hemisphere, and the topmost positions on both the ends are named as what? Poles. Starting from equator, when we reach up to the highest point on this earth, we call it as a pole. If we go towards the northern side, the pole which we reach will be the northern pole. If we go towards the southern side, the pole we reach will be the south pole. What happens is, equator is at 0 degree and poles are at 90 degree each. So in northern side we'll have 90 degree north, in southern side we will have 90 degrees south. Are we getting very basic information about it? If you are not able to understand, I'll explain you again, but we need to remember these things, because ultimately that's the purpose of reading NCERTs. NCERTs help us to clear our basics. So these are the basic terms. Are we getting it or not? So moving further, what happens is, just like this 0 degree, there are 90 lines both towards northern hemisphere, both towards the southern hemisphere. So these 90 lines, what they are doing is, they are actually parallel means they will not bisect, they will not intersect each other at any point. So they are going parallel up till northern hemisphere, which we call as 90 degree. So 0 degree we have 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, 5 degree, and up to 90 degree in north. And then we have 0 degree, 1 degree south, 2 degree south, 3 degree south, and it will again go up to 90 degrees south. So 0 degrees north, 0 degree, 1 degree north, 2 degree north, all these are known as latitudes. You need to remember, whenever a line is represented as north or south, for example, we have 10 degree north, we need to remember that north and south lines will always be our latitudes. A longitude can never have this name that it is north or south. Why? Because we'll understand it in the later half. I hope we are clear till here. Since we have 90 latitudes on both the sides, 90 on the north, 90 on the south, so what do you think? We need to remember all of those? No sir, it's not possible to remember things about all those 90 or all those 180 latitudes. That's why there are certain important latitudes or parallels. As I told you that all the latitudes are parallel to the equator, so there is this term, parallel term is used for the latitude. So anywhere if you see the term parallel, don't get confused that sir only talked about latitudes and longitudes. What is this parallel? Sir, parallel is the word that can be used in the place of a latitude, and latitude and parallels are at times used interchangeably. So out of these 180 latitudes, with the 4 most important latitudes are Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, and Antarctic Circle. So this is our Earth, you see. This was 0 degree equator. Here we had 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4, 5, 6, and somewhere here we reached 23.5 degree north. We named this latitude as what? Tropic of Cancer. We need to remember, and I assume that many of you already know about this. 23.5 degree north, we have a latitude, we have a parallel which is known as Tropic of Cancer. Simultaneously coming downwards at 23.5 degrees south, we have Tropic of Capricorn. You need to remember Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degree north, whereas Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south. And all this starts from what? All this starts from equator, that is at the 0 degree. So Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn are equidistant from the equator. They are situated as at the equal distance. After Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, we move further, we see Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. What happens here is, moving ahead of Tropic of Cancer in north, you have 23.5, then you have 24, 25, 26. Ultimately, you reach up to this 66.5 degree north. This is another important latitude in our northern hemisphere. It is known as Arctic Circle. Simultaneously, on the other side of globe, that is the southern hemisphere, we have Antarctic Circle. So just like Arctic Circle, it is also at 66.5 degree, but it is not on the north, but it is on the south. Why on south? Because sir, now we are coming below the equator, so anything that is below the equator will be the part of southern hemisphere. Anything that is above the equator will be the part of our northern hemisphere. So these 4 are important latitudes, and the most important latitude undoubtedly is equator, because equator becomes the reference point. Exactly at the center we drew a line that we called as 0 degree, and we named it as equator. Moving northwards to that equator, we get northern hemisphere. Moving southward to that equator, we get southern hemisphere. And in both these hemispheres, there are more latitudes which are drawn parallel to the equator, and they are named as per degrees. So 0 degree, 1 degree, 2 degree, 90 degree are towards the north and 90 degree are towards the south. So it was difficult to remember or to name each and every one of them. So we tried to name few important latitudes. We know them as Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. We know them as Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. From 0 degree up till South Pole, when we reach, we will get this 90 degrees south, which is 90 degrees south, which is the south pole, and upward side we get 90 degree north, that is the north pole. I hope we are clear till here. We are clear with this basic understanding. So if we are able to understand things till now, what if you closely look at this image, we have understood what is equator, we understood what is tropic of Capricorn, we understood what is tropic of Cancer, we understood what is Arctic Circle, we also understood what is Antarctic Circle and what is North Pole and South Pole. Apart from this, I'll just cut them for a while. For example, we understood what is North Pole, we understood what is Arctic Circle, we understood what is tropic of Cancer, we understood what is equator, we understood what is tropic of Capricorn, and we understood what is Antarctic Circle, we also understood what is South Pole. Apart from these, there are few more things you can see from your screen. We have something known as torrid zone, we have something known as north temperate zone, south temperate zone, we have something known as frigid zone on north and frigid zone on south. So we'll understand what are these zones now. So what happens is, this is our earth and here we have sun rays coming. Sun rays fall directly on the equator. So sun rays are falling directly on the equator. So it's like this. So the strongest of rays of sun will fall at the equator, and the rays will gradually decrease as we move towards the pole. Why this is happening, we need to understand that also. So I'll explain you with the help of an image. Sir, this is earth and this is our sun. Rays coming from the equator, this is our pole, north pole, south pole. So because of the spherical shape of the earth, there is distance between pole and the equator. Equator is somewhere here, pole is somewhere here. So this difference in the distance means that the rays coming from the sun or the heat coming from the sun will reach at the equator earlier. After that, it will take some more time to reach to the poles, or it will not be able to reach to the poles completely. So in a simpler language, we can say that equator is receiving more heat, whereas the poles are receiving very less heat from the sun. So because of this, what happens is equator will be the hotter region, whereas poles will not be hotter. Instead, poles will be very cold regions, and that's why poles are always the frozen areas. You always see ice on the pole. That's why it is known as frigid zone. So you need to remember, we have named this region on the poles which is always frozen, because very little heat and light of the sun is reaching up till here. So that's why this region is known as freeze zone or frigid zone. Simultaneously on equator, this entire region, it receives the maximum heat, so we have named it as torrid zone. And then distance between this difference between frigid zone and torrid zone, there is some temperate is moderate. Things at equator are really hot, things at poles are really cool, but somewhere in between we have moderate zone, and we call it as temperate zone. The temperate zone which lies on the northern hemisphere is northern temperate zone. The temperate zone that lies in the southern area is known as southern temperate zone. Torrid zone, it receives the maximum heat. Why? Because it's near to the equator, and I told you that equator is the place that receives maximum of the sunlight coming. So maximum sunlight and heat will reach up to the equator, and areas around the equator will be called as torrid zone. Then there is a temperate zone which is moderate in temperature, like it's not too hot as the equator, but it's moderate, it will not be as cold as poles. So that's why we have moderate zone in between, we called it as temperate zone. And temperate zone in the northern hemisphere will be known as northern temperate zone, and at southern end will be known as southern temperate zone. Then we have frigid zone. It has a cold climate, as sun rays are always slanting. So what happens here is, if this is earth, this is sun, so sun rays falling on the poles are always slanting. So slanting means they will have to travel a longer distance, and heat losses take place while the rays travel. So by that time, covering that longer distance, these heat rays reach up to the poles, it becomes really difficult for them to heat that area. That's why the very little heat of the sun reaches to the poles, and ultimately our poles become really cold zones, and we call them as frigid zones. I hope we are clear with these terms. Now you have a look at all the terms written on this image. In this diagram you see North Pole, frigid zone, Arctic Circle, North Temperate Zone, Tropic of Cancer, Torrid Zone, Equator, Tropic of Capricorn, South Temperate Zone, Antarctic Circle, frigid zone, and South Pole. We discussed about each one of those, even these numbers which are written here. I hope we are clear with each and every word written on this image, because it's really important, sir. We need to remember this image because it will help us a longer way while we'll be understanding certain more concepts related to our Earth. Are we getting things or not? I hope we are clear till here. Let's move ahead. The lines that are running from North Pole to South Pole, what we did was earlier we discussed about parallels or latitudes. So these latitudes are moving in a horizontal direction, but we have North Pole here, we have South Pole here, and at these points also there are certain lines which are running. Sir, these lines are known as what? These lines are known as longitudes or meridians. Just like we called latitudes as parallels, longitudes can be called as meridians. So our latitudes were either in the northern hemisphere, so they were north, or either at southern hemisphere, so they were at south, and they were divided by 0 degree, that was equator. Simultaneously, sir, we have another type of lines running. I am telling you again, remember these are imaginary lines, not even a single line of these is real. These all are imaginary lines, so we need to remember that thing. So what is happening here is these imaginary lines are moving from North Pole to South Pole, and they are moving like this. These are known as what? Longitudes or meridians. Distance, just like latitudes, the distance between longitudes is also measured in degrees. So I'll just try to explain you again. For latitudes, latitudes were either in northern hemisphere or in southern hemisphere. So latitudes were like this. This was a northern hemisphere, this was a southern hemisphere. So the latitude here will be known as, for example, 23.5 degree north, and latitude here is known as 23.5 degrees south, because they were either on the north or south of the equator. But the difference with longitudes is, just like equator, longitudes also have a 0 degree, which we call as prime meridian. Meridian is the name given to the longitudes. So prime means the most important. So we need to remember, just like 0 degree equator, we have 0 degree prime meridian. And this prime meridian, again, just like equator, it bisects the earth, but it is bisecting earth into east and west, going by these four directions: north, south, east, and west. So this side we have east, this side we have west. So there is one line drawn from the center which is known as prime meridian or 0 degree. So longitudes on the eastern side will be measured in degrees and direction will be east, and longitudes on the western side will be measured in degrees and direction will be west. So we have something as 0 degree, 1 degree east, 2 degree east, 3 degree east. Simultaneously, we have 1 degree west, 2 degree west, 3 degree west. Are we able to understand things still here? We need to have the utmost clarity, only then we will be able to understand things like why time changes, why India is called as 5.5 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time. We need to understand these things thoroughly, guys. So what is happening is we have, for our understanding, in order to understand things well, what we did was we drew imaginary lines on the earth, and these lines were drawn as per the directions. One set of lines were running from north to south, other set of lines was running from west to east, and this ultimately made our imaginary earth like look like this. If this is the earth, we have, this is prime meridian, this is equator. We had our latitudes parallel to equator, and then we have longitudes were going like this. Remember, all the latitudes are parallel to each other, but longitudes are not parallel to each other. Why? Because they are cutting each other at the poles. If we have a look on the pole would look like this. So all our longitudes are cutting each other at poles. So longitudes would look something like this. Are we able to understand what I am trying to make? See, this is 2D representation, so we need to visualize the things. So we had latitudes and longitudes. When we merged both of them, earth looked somewhere like this. Intersection of these latitudes and longitudes was making certain square like structures. You see, not exactly square, but yeah, we assume them as squares. So the intersection of latitudes and longitudes was making a square like structure which was known as grid. So grid was an imaginary pattern that was being drawn to understand the earth's structure with the help of latitudes and longitudes, and that takes us to another important concept, grid. Sir, remember, all these things are on the model of the earth. You have globe, you have latitudes, you have longitudes, you have grids. See, you should never think of this that, sir, we live on earth, why we are not able to see the latitudes, longitudes or grids? These are imaginary lines, my dear friends. These imaginary lines or even these grids are imaginary. So these will always be on the model of the earth and not on the real earth. But since our topic of discussion is globe, which is the model of the earth, so we are understanding, or we try to understand all these latitudes and longitudes. Are we clear till here? I assume that we are getting things. So what happens is, longitudes have a very important role to play. Why? You know, earth is revolving. If sun is situated somewhere this side, you zoom at 0 degree, it's our 0 degree east, it's 1 degree east, 2 degree east, 3 degree east. Now sun rays are coming, assume that this was 45 degree east. So when earth was rotating, sunlight was now falling at 45 degree east, but there is 45 degree west also. When sun rays are falling on 45 degree east, exact opposite to that side we have 45 degree west. Since sun rays are falling on this side, this will have daytime sunlight falling on it, will make it as a day, but simultaneously on the other side it will be complete darkness. That's why, sir, when we have day at one place, at the other place it's the complete night, and that is why we have the time difference. Longitudes play a very, very important role to help us understand the concept of time. Why we have time difference? Time at India is different from time at China. Time at China is different from time at US. Time at US is different from time at Afghanistan, and time at Afghanistan will be different when compared to time at India. So why this was happening? Sir, we need to understand that we drew these longitudes and ultimately different longitudes were passing from different areas. This is Greenwich meridian time, or we call it as prime meridian. So to understand the concept of time, we need to understand, just like 0 degree latitude is called as equator, 0 degree longitude is named as prime meridian. We need to understand, we need to remember this. Prime meridian is the most important longitude, and we take it as a reference point while we try to calculate the time. So what happens is, for example, we took it as this reference point, the prime meridian. We assume that 12 a.m. at prime meridian. So it's not that if it's 12 a.m. at prime meridian, the entire earth will have only 12 a.m. only. Why? Sir, in total we have 180 longitudes and we have 24 hours. 24 hours, if we convert it into minutes, so it will be 1140. 60 into 24, it will be 1440, I guess. Let me just cross check. Yeah, 1440, 1440. So what is happening here was, the entire earth has 180 longitudes and every longitude will have different time. That difference will be of few minutes only, but it will have a difference. So what we did was, the entire 24 hours, because what happens is, if sunlight is falling on Greenwich Mean Time, after some time, because of Earth's rotation, the sunlight will fall here, and ultimately after 24 hours again this Greenwich Mean Time will receive the same amount of sunlight. Like if it is 12 a.m. today, after 24 hours again it will be 12 a.m. at Greenwich Mean Time. So what was happening here was, the entire time period of 24 hours was divided into these 180 longitudes. So for every one longitude we need to find out total 180 longitudes, and we have 1440 minutes. So 1 degree longitude will have a difference of, we'll divide 1440 by 180. What we get here is 4. Every 1 degree will make that difference. See, 180 longitudes, let me correct myself, 180 longitudes are on the eastern side and 180 longitudes are on the western side. Let me explain it, I got a bit confused. So what is happening here is, we have total 360 longitudes. We need to remember, sir, we have 180 latitudes and 360 longitudes. Don't ever forget, don't ever get confused, because as you saw, I also got confused. Sir, 180 are latitudes and 360 are our longitudes. What happens is, you must have seen that device that used to come into in your geometry box, with which we used to draw angles. This was 90 degree, this was 180 degree. Half of the circle is 180 degree and another half makes it 360 degrees. So just like any other circle, Earth is also spherical in shape. So this Greenwich Mean Time, starting from 0 degree, 1 degree, 2 degree, will go up to 180 degree on one side, that is eastern side. So we have 0 degree, 1 degree, 2 degree and up to 180 degree east. Then from there we have on the western side 1 degree, 2 degree and again 1 degree west, 180 degree west. So Greenwich Mean Time is dividing Earth in such a way that 180 longitudes are towards its eastern side and 180 longitudes are towards its western side. What difference will it make? As I told you that in a day we have 24 hours. Every hour has 60 minutes. So we have 1440 minutes and total number of longitudes we have is 360. So how much time each longitude will represent can be found out like this: 1440 divided by 360. So it is 4 degrees. If we divide it by 180 degree, we have 8 degrees, but since we have 360 longitudes, each longitude will have a difference of 4 minutes. So what happens is, this is 0 degree, this is 1 degree. This is our 0 degree, this is our 1 degree. From 0 degree to 1 degree, when Earth rotates in such a manner, this is sunlight. For example, sunlight is falling on 0 degree. Earth will make a rotation and after 4 minutes that sunlight will directly fall at 1 degrees. Then after 8 minutes it will fall on 2 degrees. So in every degree of difference between the longitudes, the time difference will be of 4 minutes. Are we able to understand? See, this is an important concept. We'll try to understand it again in our next class also. What I am trying to say here is, even though we have studied lot about latitudes, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, North Poles, South Pole a lot, but sir, we need to understand that longitudes are much more important when we are on to calculate time, because every degree difference in a longitude will bring out a difference of 4 minutes on our watch. For example, me and my friend, I was standing at 0 degree longitude and he was standing at 1 degree longitude. If on my watch it was 12 AM, on his watch the exact timing should be 12:04 AM. Why? Because he is at 1 degree difference from me, and that 1 degree difference brings out 4 minutes difference. Ultimately, India falls at a distance that our time difference from Greenwich is 5 and 30 hours. 5.30, that is, if it's 12 AM at Greenwich, India will be having 5:30 in the morning. If it's 12 PM at Greenwich, India's time will be 5:30 PM, and we'll understand what makes it the difference of 5 hours and 30 minutes. These are the things which we need to understand. We'll continue with our discussion on a very similar note. We'll be doing our discussion tomorrow also. I hope we are clear with the things understood till here. So we basically talked about latitudes and longitudes. Overview of longitudes we have seen, and we talked about the different zones, different latitudes. Eventually, when we'll proceed further with next chapters of geography, we'll understand that what was the reason of dividing the things as per the latitudes. I hope we are clear with here. We have to understand lot many things. Standard time, Indian standard time, why India, as I told you that why India is 5.5 hours ahead. So all these things we'll be understanding in lectures to come. Before I end this lecture, I just want to tell you that if you are willing to, or if you are aiming to qualify this examination, ultimately this examination wants you to write the answers in your mains examination, and that's not possible without practice. If you are not practicing the answer writing, you are doing a big mistake. So what you have to do here, sir, is you have to master the art of answer writing with the help of Unacademy. We are giving you mains test series for the year 2023. You have to enroll with us and get that answer writing done. You will be getting full length sectional tests. You will be given model answer. You will be given customized feedback. As a UPSC aspirant, you must be having a number of doubts. You need to clear those doubts with us at Unacademy with the help of our doubt darbar. Thank you, aspirants. I request you to follow our channel IAS Icons, because it's here that we will help you with all these subjects, all the topics that are important with UPSC perspective. You need to subscribe to this channel, because we'll be bringing more such type of lectures, more such type of videos. If you haven't subscribed it, subscribe it at the earliest, because this is the exclusive English channel by Unacademy, where we'll be bringing the entire UPSC course syllabus in English to you. Press the bell icon and follow us on Telegram. We have a specialized Telegram channel by the name IAS Icons. Go to Telegram, join this channel. I'll be providing the PDFs also. Like the video, share and drop your valuable comments. Thank you very much. All the best. Keep working hard. Bye bye. Take care. Jai Hind.